In this video, we are going to create the basic shapes for our straps. Select the low poly body of your character. Make sure you turn off mirror. Make sure that you have front faces checked on and turn on stabilize stroke and play around with the settings of the factor. And let's go ahead and mask a part of our low poly mesh of the body of our character where we know the strap is going to be laid on. So the type of strap that we're going to have is going to start from here on down, the bottom and the waist. The strap is what's going to hold the armor and the pads together along with the fur. And we're going to have some kind of item underneath that will actually also be part of how this all come together. And this is going to be more functional once everything is more constructed. But right now we're just thinking of the basic forms and the meshes that we need to create to get everything going. And so right now I'm just masking this area out, and then later we're going to be extracting this, and we are going to be stretching this out so they could get up to here. But yeah, right now just focusing on masking this portion of the body of the character here. And then onto the back. Mask this area out. Let's go to Mask Extract and turn off Extract as Solid. And let's go to our sculpt mode for this, and we have to smooth this out. And turn off back face culling, that way you could look at the strap in all views. If you turn off back face culling, you're going to be able to see the surface of the mesh on both sides. And I'm just using my grab brush to just kind of straighten this out, and then going back and forth between the grab brush and the smoothing brush to just make the surface of the straps cleaner. And now, yeah, right here we need to mask this part out. That way we're only able to manipulate this area out without touching this. Because we got those two together, and it'll be a little bit difficult to manage. If you are manipulating one side, it will definitely affect the other. But right now I'm using the grab brush to just kind of widen this up a little bit. And then invert it and do the other side. Same thing with this, just kind of widen it. So when I extracted this out, I should have masked more of the area, but it's okay. Could always go back and just have full control with the grab brush. So using the grab brush and then smoothing, going back and forth between grabbing and smoothing as I do this here. So just adjusting the shape, the overall shape of this. I think it's a little too wide now, so I have to kind of get it back in this. Yeah, you don't want it to too wide, all right? So take your time to kind of shape this out. And as you can see, it's sinking in onto the body. Let's go back to sculpt mode. Using the grab brush at a really big size, just gonna pull this out. Okay, what I want to do though is I want to make sure that I mask this part out here. That way I'm not touching that at all as I fix the front part of the strap. Okay, now I'm gonna just grab it and easily just kind of lift this up. And I'm gonna go and stretch this all the way up here where the armor and the leather pad is at. I'll make it a little wider. Just grabbing it up and then smoothing it. Then I'm going to invert it and onto this. Just going to lift this up and have it over the leather pad and the armor. So you still want to make sure that you think about the strap conforming to the shape of the body. There you go. Also, when you're doing this, you need to think about how around here there's going to be a little bit more tightness and stretchiness, because this is going to go kind of under here. There's going to be an element here where this strap is gonna go over, and it's gonna hold on to a shape on an element here in the armor that we're gonna create later, and then it's going to have type of stretching around this part, kind of holding onto it, and then onto the waist area. So just think of that pressure as it holds on to the armor area. Yeah, you don't want the strap to look like it's loose, because it's just not gonna look realistic. You want it to really look like it's holding on strong onto the armor area and the leather pad, keeping those elements in place, because that's the goal of having the strap here. Then just make sure that you just kind of flatten it a little bit onto the chest. You need to still make sure that it's kind of laying on the chest area, because if it doesn't look like it's touching the chest area, it's going to look like the strap is a little too loose, and it's just not going to look convincing. And smooth that out. And just grab and pull it up. So you don't want it way too pulled up from the surface of the skin though. You want it so it's not sinking into the skin, but at the same time you still kind of want it to look like it's touching the skin surface. Okay, and I didn't get to mask this area out, and so when I was adjusting the front strap, it was also adjusting the back part. Okay. Okay, on to the sculpt mode for our armor. Turn off the stabilize stroke right here. We're gonna mask this area out for our armor. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna mask a surface here for the armor, and then we're gonna be extracting it, and then we're gonna be using that. We're gonna use it as a base mesh for a little element that we're gonna create here, and that element that we're gonna be creating is going to have the strap. It's gonna go kind of underneath, gonna over it, holding on to it. So it look like that the strap is holding on to something that's holding everything in place. So yeah, we are just going masking this area out. And let's go mask extract. Select all the faces and extrude faces along normals. There you go. We just need a little base shape here. And onto our sculpt mode. Let's play around with our voxel size here. Let's set it to a lower value. And let's go and remesh that. Smooth it. And right now I'm just trying to have the mesh here kind of meet up on the other side of the mesh there, and I'm just gonna remesh it. So you can see, just kind of pull this mesh out from this side here to kind of touch this, and then by remeshing it, you can see that everything is just kind of fused together here now. So just gonna have this nice little horseshoe shape there. And we have our strap that's gonna insert in there, holding onto it, our strap. And then just scrape this to get a little nice cleaner edge using the scrape brush. All right, as you can see there. We could add a little bit more detail on this here. We could mask this area out. And we could protrude it. And invert it. Probably clean it up a little bit. Invert. Further clean up edges here. And onto our mesh filter and inflate it up, protrude it out. And let's remesh that and smooth it. And then scrape this here so we got a little nice edge, and we gotta isolate this so we can see more of what's going on. You can see it's a little messy. It's definitely messy, but it's okay. Just a little rough shape going, it's fine. Everything's gonna look nice and clean, our end result later. Okay, just using the grab brush, you're just gonna further shape this out and then scraping it. So we got a little nice bevel look to this. Okay, great. Now back onto the strap. Onto the sculpt mode. going to mask the back part of the strap. That way I'm not manipulating that. And I'm using my grab brush, just gonna lift this up so it's not sinking in. There you go. Yeah, smooth it up a bit. And back onto the grab brush. So I'm trying to make that strap hang on real tight on that, the horseshoe shape that we just created, a little small element. So yeah, previously we didn't have this right here, but now that we do, we know that this is more functional on how it will be in real life, because we cannot just have the strap here floating. So when you are creating something really complex, a complex character like this, you have to think about how it would really be working in real life, how this entire thing will stay together, and how the strap will actually hold on to this area right here. So yeah, this little element right here is part of this entire armor as a whole, and this is what's grabbing onto that. Okay, and kind of fixing this leather up. Okay, looks like this is masked. Part of the surface on the leather pad is still masked there. I can see it. Yeah, I'll fix that later, but just gonna go ahead and duplicate this and mirror this. Yeah, I have mirror turned on and onto the Y direction, and apply that and select the faces here and just gonna move it up. So we got one on the other side, so we got the other strap, which is at the back of the character, that's also going to hold on to that. So remember, this little small element that we have here, this is going to be as one piece with our actual metal armor here. Yeah, this horseshoe shape, it's not a separate piece. Once we texture everything and they're all the armor, yeah, the armor here and this right here is all going to have the same texture. And later on when we render, even though they're going to be separate pieces, it's going to look like they're just one whole piece, this entire metal part. Yeah, because it wouldn't really make sense if that little small element that we just added there is a separate piece. So yeah, it is going to be part of that armor. That's how it's going to look like for our end result. So you could see me just trying to kind of push that underneath trying to have the strap kind of over it and then inside. And using my grab brush, just kind of pull that out, going back and forth between smoothing and grabbing. Push that in. There you go. Just really have that holding on tight to that metal element there. I'm gonna thicken this up a little bit and smooth. Pull that out. Okay, and right here I could fix the leather pad so it's not really going over the strap area. So you could either manipulate the strap or manipulate the elements underneath it. And what I'm doing right now is just pushing it back, the leather pads, And you can see there, since I had this mask when I was pulling it back, it has a little issue now, but it's okay. That could be easily be fixed by smoothing. Yeah, just be careful that once you're done masking, it's a really good idea that you just unmask it if you're not gonna do anything with it anymore. Okay, just gonna nudge this a little bit, thicken this up. There you go. So you can see I'm not really staying with just one shape for the strap. And this is what's good about just sculpting our accessories. We could easily change our shape without having to pull vertices, extrude faces or edges. You get like a lot more full control with sculpting. And you could create something a lot more realistic and more fluid when you start out with something like this, where you're extracting a mesh and then using the sculpting brush to manipulate the shape to conform to the body of the character. And pull that down, pull it up, there you go. And then select the faces here. We could do a little extrusion here, so to add thickness to the strap, because right now they are paper thin. Let's extrude faces along normals. There you go, so we got a little thickness there. Yeah, let's try again. Then extrude again. Yeah, your first time extruding is, most of the time it's not gonna be the one that you want. So that's the good thing. We have the undo Control Z button. And adjust the voxel size to a lower value, 0.02, and remesh that. Okay, we could bring it down some more, 0.005, and remesh. There you go. We could even make it a little bit higher so we could actually smooth it out. Smooth this. There you go. You could just grab this down. So we kind of want it tucked underneath right here. We're gonna have a belt going around the waist of our character later, but it's just gonna get tucked underneath that belt later. And just pull that, push that in. So I'm masking the back part of the strap as I am manipulating the front. And you can see this here also needs to be fixed because we did add some thickness, and so this right here, you have to take some time to fix that part where it holds on to the metal part. Okay. I'm gonna turn on stabilize stroke again, and we're gonna mask out a part of our mesh here for the front part of our strap, and then we're gonna be extracting a piece here. That way we could have some layering on our strap. There you go. And also at the back, let's not forget the back part. Clean this up a little bit. There you go. On down. Let's sharpen that mask. And let's go ahead and extract it. So we got a little nice piece right there that we just created. And yeah, right here having a little issue. Okay, if I smooth this out, okay, that's easy fix. Just smooth it. If you have a thin geometry like this, I suggest you don't remesh it. You remesh it after you add thickness, because if you have a thin geometry like this and you remesh it, you might get some holes on it. So yeah, I would wait until you extrude it, and then that's when you can remesh. Again, just adjusting the shape here to kind of fit the other lower layer of our strap. Once again, just going back and forth between the grab brush and the smooth brush. Trying to get that shape down. And I'm going to pull this up and smooth it. And readjust this area out. Okay, now let's select the faces for our second layer of strap, and let's go ahead and extrude faces along normals. Kind of thicken this up. Alright, I think it's a little too thick. Try again. There you go. So I want that to be thinner than the bottom layer. Alright, and there it is.